I'm your host, Heather Ashley, and welcome to another episode of Women of Her Story, a podcast dedicated to celebrating women who have made or are making their mark on our society. As always, let me introduce to you my co-host, Captain Smellmore.
Howdy. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Are you ready to learn about the mother of the Black resistance in South Africa during the Apartheid?
Please educate me.
All right. I apologize in advance. Names are difficult for me. I'm doing my absolute best. Lilian Ngoyi was born on September 24th, 1911 in the city of Pretoria. She was one of 6 children to Isaac Mankatang and Annie Modipa Matabane. Lilian had a relatively standard upbringing for the time, and she attended the Kilnerton Institute in the 1920s with aspirations of becoming a teacher. Hardships fell on the family, forcing her to quit school in order to help support her family. From 1928 to 1930, Lilian worked as a nurse at the City Mine Hospital. A few years later, in 1934, she married John Ngoyi, a van driver. They had 3 children, Edith Mosime, Memory Shoke, and Eggert.
Aw.
And I guess they gave up on the 2-name thing.
Aw.
By Eggert.
Those are cute names.
I know.
I
like it too. John and Lilian eventually did separate, but from what I could find, it was mostly an amicable separation.
Okay.
A year into their marriage, Lilian took a job as a domestic servant and absolutely loathed, I'm going to say that again, she absolutely loathed the experience and quit after 3 months on the job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, I feel like that's saying something because it doesn't sound like she's a quitter.
No, it seems like it would take a decent amount to, break her into not doing something anymore. And 3 months
is a while to stick out.
Something that you
are really hating. Mm-hmm. I one time quit a job after 1 training shift.
See, that's, You
I
knew
was
in
like,
a day.
No.
Yeah, you didn't.
And
yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah,
It was after you got hired, so you gave it a shot.
After a bit more searching, Lilian found herself working as a machinist in a clothing factory from the mid-40s to the mid-50s. There, she was elected an official in the Garment Workers Union Native branch.
Atta girl. Nice.
Yeah. This position led her to dedicating her life to humanitarian works. One of her first arrests on record is from her trying to use post office facilities that were exclusively used for whites in 1950.
Good. I'm glad she tried to cross that line.
Absolutely.
That's just absurd. So good.
Exactly. And in 1952, Lilian joined the African National Congress, or ANC. The ANC was dedicated to ending the unequal status of Black and white South Africans known as the Apartheid. Lilian Ngoyi, Helen Suzman, Helen Joseph, Ida Mwana, and Charlotte Mashiki, I've lost my place, founded the Women's League of the African National Congress.
Nice.
I know. And before she knew it, Lilian was holding leadership positions within the ANC, including national president and Transvaal provincial president of the Women's League.
I love these take charge women.
I know. Especially ones where you can tell they were just born to lead. I think an indicator in her life would be her initially wanting to be a teacher, because that is such a leadership role, and that's someone who is already dedicated to like bettering the lives of people around you.
People.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it just took a different turn for her. Lilian was a fantastic, natural, charismatic public speaker. This would explain her quick rise to leadership within the community. In 1953, Lilian was imprisoned for her role in the Congress campaign against race laws. In 1954, she was the only woman elected to the national executive of ANC.
Representation. There you go. Only woman. Man.
In 1955, Lilian served as an elected delegate to the World Mothers Conference in Lausanne, Switzerland.
Nice. Impressive.
In order to attend the event, she left South Africa without a passport, putting herself at even greater risk. Moving right along to 1956, Lilian was named the national president of the newly formed Federation of South African Women.
Oh, she was in charge of a lot of things.
I
It's
know.
good. That's just how much of a boss she was, though, in life. That people put her in those leadership roles.
And that people, trusted
Respected
her
her.
with that.
Yeah.
The group organized a group of over 20,000 women to protest the inclusion of women in the pass laws controlling the movement of blacks in South Africa. I found this definition of the pass laws on southafricanhistory.org. The pass laws was a system used to control the movement of black, Indian, and colored people in South Africa. The pass said which areas a person was allowed to move through or be in, and if a person was found outside of these areas, they would be arrested. It was not effectively ended until 1986.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is insane.
Not that long ago.
Nope.
That's very bad.
Very, very bad. So back to this group of women that were being organized. They chose Thursday, August 9th, 1956 for their protests. Why Thursday? Why not a weekend? Well, Thursday was the day that most black domestic workers had off each week. Right? I feel like that's such an interesting random day, but they really thought that out. They wanted to have as many people there as possible.
Yeah.
As they arrived by mostly trains, they walked to the union buildings in groups of 2 and 3, as large groups had been banned by authorities. The larger groups met at the gardens and the amphitheaters near the union building. Representatives of each race group in South Africa carried 14,000 petitions for presentation to Prime Minister J.G. Strijdom, who just so happened to not be available. Yeah.
Convenient.
Crazy.
Convenient.
He made sure he was elsewhere so that he did not have to accept petitions from multicultural groups of women.
Of course.
His secretary was there instead. The women stood for 30 minutes in silence, and then they sang a woman's freedom song. I will not butcher the original language, so I will just give you guys the translation. When you strike the woman, you strike a rock. You will be crushed. You will die. It's my new theme song.
That's very powerful.
Yeah,
That's
especially
very
considering
strong.
after half an hour of silence. And then for this song, think about over 20,000 people singing this song. It's
Moving.
Oh, I have little chill bumpies. Like, oh my gosh.
You can't unsee that, that stays with you.
Yeah, that really stays with you. The official petition reads as follows. We, the women of South Africa, have come here today. We African women know too well the effect of this law upon our homes and our children. We who are not African women know how our sisters suffer. For us, an insult to African women is an insult to all women. The homes will be broken up when women are arrested under pass laws. That women and young girls will be exposed to humiliation and degradation at the hands of pass-searching policemen. That women will lose their right to move freely from one place to another. We, voters and voteless, call upon our government not to issue passes to African women. We shall not resist until we have won for our children their fundamental rights of freedom, justice, and security. Woo!
I have chills now.
Woo! And,
So clear cut that they want.
And it's so interesting.
They want their equality. They want equality, freedom.
And I like that it's not just coming from the women of color, that they're saying, listen, like that there are allies in that community that are saying they can't vote. We're gonna vote. We're gonna make our voices known that this is not okay.
Yeah.
You cannot break people like this.
Yeah.
Now, they were ultimately subjected to the pass laws February 1st, 1963. I know. It's really, really not great. I hate to just deflate.
Yeah, especially after that whole petition. I felt very motivated.
Yeah. Well, it fell on deaf ears. After this date, it was a criminal offense for African women as well as men to be caught without their reference papers. And it would be illegal for anyone to employ an African of either sex who did not possess the reference papers.
That's ridiculous. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
It's the worst. The groups also contributed to the Congress of People in 1955. When the Freedom Charter was drawn up, they provided a list titled What Women Demand. Basically, it included child care provisions, housing, education, equal pay, and equal rights to men in property, marriage, and guardianship of children.
Just standard stuff.
Standard being a human.
The normal
wanting
thing
to be
that you would want for,
fair.
Your female relative, if you're a male who might not believe in something like that. It's always the people who are like, who are like, well, why do you want equal? Well, what about this? What about that? And it's like, do you not want that for your
mom?
For any of your Do you not care about your mom? Yeah. Do you not? Right? You don't want equality for your mom? That's really weird.
Crazy.
Anyway.
Crazy. The protests in the Union Building offices of Prime Minister J.G. Stridstrom resulted in Lilian being arrested and tried for treason, for which she was later acquitted, which is, that's good at least.
At least. At the very least.
The ANC was banned by the South African government in 1960, so they just moved their business underground. That same year, Lilian was arrested once again during a declared state of emergency. She was given no trial and spent 5 months in solitary confinement at Pretoria Prison.
Wow.
I know. How is that even...
5 months in solitary confinement sounds ridiculous. I can't even imagine.
Never given a trial. Like,
yeah.
What?
I can't even imagine. That's like that episode of Law and Order SVU where Elliot Stabler went into the solitary confinement for X amount of time because someone else did and he wanted to see what it was like, and then afterward they let him out and he was just like a broken person,
totally different person.
And it's like that's exactly what that's those are horrible human conditions. Those aren't even living conditions.
No,
that's not living conditions.
No, absolutely not. Adding to her rap sheet, the ANC leaders were arrested in 1963, and Lilian was one of the first people to be held under the 90-day detention law. She spent 71 days imprisoned in Johannesburg. There were no formal charges against her, and once again, she received no trial. There was no reason for her to be jailed for over 2 months.
Yeah.
They had no charges. They were just like, you're causing too much of a fuss. Let's put you down here.
They just disagreed with her.
Yeah.
And she spoke out and they didn't like that. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous.
From her release until her death, Lilian was restricted in her movements and contacts by the South African government. She was officially a banned person, and she couldn't even be quoted in the press. There was a student revolt in 1976 that was crucial in the struggle against the apartheid. The ANC bolstered their ranks with young energy, and they ultimately, in 1986, were finally able to get the pass laws off the books.
Leave it to the younger generation to turn things around for everyone else.
Sometimes, like the ANC for so long had been led by these incredible leaders, but they had been leading it for 20 years? Yeah. And sometimes you just have to have fresh eyes, fresh energy.
Change of the guards.
Exactly. Exactly. On March 12th, 1980, Lilian died in her home in the suburban township of Soweto.
Oh.
I know. She suffered from heart troubles. The ANC settlement in Dakawa, Tanzania. I thought so. Tanzania memorialized memorialized her by naming a residence in her honor. On August 9th, 2000, their National Women's Day, monuments were unveiled at Malabangwe and Bokosweni, the amphitheater where they gathered. It was called Monument to the Women of South Africa and was organized by the Department of Arts, Culture, Science, and Technology. The Monument Steering Committee was formed in 1999 with a judging panel consisting of a veteran of the march, a member of the president's office, 3 artists, a designer, and a curator. A 7-day workshop at Technikon Pretoria was put on to make sure the event was fair and transparent, allowing disadvantaged artists to participate as well.
It's excellent.
Yeah, I know, right? I think that's so rare. I feel like you don't hear of that sort of consideration being taken in this sort of
it's a good way to maintain checks and balances in terms of making sure everyone gets picked fairly.
Exactly.
No one gets overlooked by someone else.
Mm-hmm. In all, there were 60 entries, and ultimately, Wilma Cruz and Marcus Holmes won. The steps leading to the amphitheater have scattered words of the petitions. When you climb the stairs leading to the monument, you trigger a sound message in 11 languages. It says, "You strike the woman, you strike the rock." When you get to the vestibules, there is an imbokodu in the center, which is a small grinding stone on a larger grinding stone. They sit atop a polished circular bronze stone surrounded by a darker bronze octagon plate. The stone symbolizes the women's labor and nurturance, while the bronze plate symbolizes the earth and stone they sit upon. Lilian Ngoyi was an incredible woman. Her determination, compassion, insight, and ability to get up time and time again is astounding. The type of passion and commitment you have to spend incredible amounts of time in prison simply for existing and speaking out, to then get out of solitary and start right back up again. That's just incredible.
It takes such a strong person to withstand as much as she did, you know, and to lead the groups that she did, to see the victories, to see the loss, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, unfortunately, she
inspiring.
did die before apartheid was, you know, officially, or at least the past laws were officially off the books, you know, but I have a feeling that she could feel that it was her work wasn't being wasn't all for naught.
No,
you know?
yeah.
I think I would hope that she could see that she really did make a difference, and that just also goes to show that, like, we have no excuse to not speak up and speak out.
Absolutely.
You know, there's no excuse to not, and
everyone plays a role, you know, no role is too small.
Exactly, and everybody has a different thing, you know, like, she was right in the front of it, always, you know, I was about to say always in prison, but,
she was,
you know,
always
but, you know,
locked up
and
for a purpose.
Sometimes not everyone is going to be able to be that sort of foot soldier, you know, that's not everyone's place, and you can find a place for yourself in every movement. I don't mean to say, like, shift into you, but
no,
like, there is a place for you,
yeah.
and you just have to find what you're good at and where you can make your best difference.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Where are you most useful?
Yeah.
In these movements.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts?
Strong leader.
Yeah. Really incredible.
I really, you know.
Powerful. And, you know, I kind of wish I had been able to find anything about her children, really, just to see where they have ended up.
If they might have taken up the mantle in some form or another.
I couldn't find anything like that. Maybe they're names are different. I'm not sure.
I mean, her legacy does live on, at least through this podcast.
Yeah, and just so there's some really interesting stuff, and the monument is really beautiful. I'll try to remember to post a picture of it.
Absolutely, I'll try to remind you.
Yeah.
But those are my final thoughts. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in again. We love that you guys keep coming back every week, and make sure you come back this Friday for an interview with LA-based up-and-coming writer/director Kylie Eaton. Her new sci-fi superhero short film, Kinetic, is being showcased in the Indie Shorts International Festival this week.
Woof.
The online festival starts today and will continue through the 26th, culminating in a filmmaker Q&A on Sunday, July 26th at 7 p.m.
Wow.
In our interview, she talks more about her film, what inspires her, and just so many other things.
She sounds like a really cool person. I can't wait to hear about her. Am
She's
I invited?
So cool. You are invited.
Am I invited? I'm invited.
You are invited.
I'm invited.
You're
I'm
all
excited.
invited.
I'm very excited. Guys, we're all invited. Hope you didn't have any plans for the next couple weeks.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, and all that jazz. The larger the audience grows, the more and more people we can share these stories with. Visit our website at
www.ofherstory.com.
Follow us on the social medias. Twitter at
The Her Story Pod.
Instagram.
Women of Her Story Podcast.
And feel free to shoot us an email.
Women of Her Story Podcast at gmail.com.
And until Friday, be safe, stay healthy, and show the world what you're made of.
Wear a mask. Take care. This is a New York Glitch production. You are the worst.